Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time let me tell you what I liked most and least about the iPhone 16 Pro Max after I bought it. So, as always, let me tell you, don't buy the iPhone 16 Pro Max without watching this video. Let's consider its launch price, which is 30,999 pesos. It is definitely a very expensive device. And I remind you that the full video review is available where you can get to know it in more depth. This will be a brief summary. Let's start with what I like the most. This device has IP68, but deeper than normal, that is to say that it can get to dive deeper than other devices that also have IP68. So in theory, it should give us greater security against any kind of accident in the water. The screen has true tone and works quite well. This is a technology that allows you to mimic the white color of the environment with the white of the screen to have a sensation. Much more natural. It also includes a new option called audio mixing, where it has 4 options to edit the audio of your videos and gain greater clarity. So it's not that it completely replaces a microphone, but if you suddenly do not have a special microphone to record your content, you can solve well enough. Portrait photography with the telephoto camera is spectacular. It looks great, although it does not offer several things to modify, but with the default settings. It looks great. The main camera can record in 4K at 120 frames per second. The slow motion image quality it can achieve is great, though you can only do it with the main one. For more professional stuff, remember that it even lets you record video directly to a storage drive connected via the USB-C port. This is something that currently only this and the Galaxy S25 Ultra allow. The stability on the telephoto lens using action mode is great. So overall, for video recording, this is a device with very good capabilities. In fact, it also records in HDR, or you also have the ability to record video in log for much more professional colorization stuff later on. This is a device that's going to be upgraded many times, and it's not going to take that long. Apple is pretty good on its reputation with respect to the number of updates it offers, so there's no question here. And through software, there are a few little things that stand out, especially if you compare it to an Android. For example, it has a notification summary option at a certain time of day. Apple develops very good quality apps of its own like GarageBand, iMovie, Pages, Numbers, Keynote and others. Even simpler things like creating stickers are pretty easy on this device, and it also integrates advanced facial recognition, although it doesn't have a fingerprint reader. Also, the Find My iPhone feature is great for trying to find your device even if it's turned off, and it also includes ultra wideband, which is a proximity technology that also has some direction. In short, it would allow you, among other things, find your friend who also has an iPhone 16 Pro Max, following the line and arrow, so not only gives you an approximate location, but is able to direct you directly to where your friend is. And what about the ecosystem? It's very good, though obviously closed. So if you have an iPhone, you'll probably need to buy all things Apple to enjoy a good experience. And finally, the catalog of games is wider than on Android, with exclusive games that can definitely come to give you an attractive touch if your priority is games. Although, as you realize, several of the advantages or benefits of this device also apply to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so we do not see an abysmal evolution. But now let me tell you what I did not like. In this case, it only has 1 slot for nano SIM cards. Other competitors can integrate 2 nano SIM slots in addition to the eSIM, so here you have fewer possibilities. While the default screen calibration is good, it must be said that here it does not let you modify anything. Unlike other Android devices that do allow you to select whether you want more or less saturation in colors and the like. The sound experience is very short because the equalizer is exclusive to Apple Music and the high-resolution codecs are exclusive for Apple headphones, so if you have other high-resolution headphones, you are not really going to be able to enjoy its maximum quality connected to the iPhone. When recording video, this device does not have the option to choose which microphone you want to use within the native camera. The front camera is going to show us quite a bit of grain, especially indoors and at night. Also, the portrait selfie photos don't seem to keep objects in focus, which is strange considering it has Face ID. The ultra-wide camera at night also performs a bit poorly, especially if you compare it to the ultra-wide camera of some other manufacturers. The maximum zoom is 25x, which is pretty honest, but there are other devices that have other artificial intelligence algorithms that are going to optimize details much better. So in this case, also the pictures have quite a bit of noise when you're using the maximum zoom the main camera has. A rather distant focus. So if you want macro scenes, you must necessarily use the ultra-wide camera, which we had already seen is not that high quality. The backlight recording did not surprise me, and for being such an expensive device, I think it should improve. And in fact, at night, the ultra-wide camera and the telephoto camera are going to suffer quite a bit, and for the price, I think they could also do a better job. The fast camera is totally lame because it's not in 4K, plus it has auto speed. Other devices have a manual speed setting and let you record in 4K. Background app management is somewhat complex on iPhone. Personally, I prefer Android's background app running, which is true multitasking. Although iPhone has the benefit of better battery control, you should decide as a user whether you prioritize battery. Or to the background app functionality. Also, the iPhone has no split screen or floating windows, and the one-handed use mode is horrible. You'll also notice that it doesn't have artificial intelligence features in Mexican Spanish yet, so we'll have to keep waiting for the update. It also doesn't have a fingerprint reader or a smart unlock, which would allow you to have the device unlocked in secure environments. They are taking too long to put something like that in. It also does not bring charger in the box, and with the original charger, it takes almost 2 hours to charge from 0 to 100, so it is quite slow. It also doesn't have reverse wireless charging, which would serve you to charge your AirPods on the back of the iPhone. And it also doesn't have an ultra power saving mode. This would also be quite useful in some emergency scenarios to project wirelessly. Its display is AirPlay only, so it is not compatible with some other standards that other TVs use. And lastly, the gaming experience. It doesn't offer us any kind of add-on through software like many other devices do. But let me know in the comments what you thought of this device. For now, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can indicate it, and we'll see you next time.